Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is AnaJolene and I'm the author of the Gloria MC series, the Moonrise Beach series, and the new Heartbreaker series. So in today's video, I am going to be doing my review of my currently ink pens for November. So I do have all of the 7 pens that I used for this month, and I also have my ink journal. So let's go ahead and go to the November spread that I have here. Alright, so I had a pretty good month for November. As you guys can see here, I did use some more like warmer colors because typically I notice that I stick to cool tone colors quite a lot. I love pinks, purples, blues mainly, lots of grays. I do use a lot of brown, but that's probably the warmest like color that I use. But you can see here that I'm trying to get into the more like peachy browns, peachy pinks, and then orangey colors. So I'm trying my best to kind of go outside of my comfort zone and incorporate different colors into my spreads. So I do use a pen basically for the entire month in each of my journals. So I have around like 5-6 journals, so I allocate basically a pen for that. You can check out all of my flip throughs of my journals and notebooks and planners on my channel if you are interested in seeing the spreads completed. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the first pen and ink combination. I did use this in my passport size traveler's notebook. So I typically like to use a Kaweco pen in that journal just because it does fit quite nicely here in the pen loop. So I have a Kaweco AL Sport. This is in the rose gold. I have it with a medium nib. And for this past month, I inked it up with Diamine Ancient Copper. I gave this combination a 4 out of 5. I can see why a lot of people really enjoy this ink in the autumn time. It's an orange, but it's kind of like more of a brown orange. It's a little bit more subdued. It kind of has that rusty look to it, which I really like. Fall was so beautiful this year. I took quite a lot of pictures with the red and orange leaves, and I just feel like this color really captured it. So I really enjoyed using this pen and ink combo. So this was one of the warm tones that I tried this month, and like I said, I really liked it. So I'm hoping that I'll have more pleasant experiences with warm colors so that I can incorporate it more into my lineups. So that one was a pretty good one to start with. Let's move on to the next pen. Here I have an Opus 88. This is the Coloro model, so it's kind of like an oversized pen. This is the 2025 Mocha Mousse color. And I have it here with a fine nib. This pen is so nice. This is actually my only Opus 88, but I am considering getting more. This is actually a eyedropper pen. So it's my first one and I really like it. I have it inked up with Tassia Cha, and I gave this combination a 5 out of 5. First of all, I love this ink. This is one of my favorite browns in my collection. I use it very often. And paired with this pen, I feel like it was a pretty good match. The Mocha Mousse just really sold me. I thought it was just a perfect brown. I kind of wish more brands did more brown pens like this, because I would totally buy them. So I really love this combination. Although I have small hands and this is an oversized pen, I didn't feel like it was uncomfortable. You can see here that the nib is like an onyx and it's quite big, but again, it didn't really bother me. I actually really like how this worked. It was a perfect match. So like I said, 5 out of 5. I would definitely ink it up again. Alright, so let's move on to the third pen and ink combination. We have another brown combo. So this is a Lamy Luxe. So it's spelled LX, and the color is called Marin. It's kind of like an aluminum chocolate color. I really enjoy it. I have an extra fine nib in here, which is a little thinner than I normally go. I normally just go for like fine mediums typically, but This one was a little bit too fine for me. However, I still enjoyed it. I think it's also because of the ink that I used with it. So the ink I used is Pilot Iroshizuku Shungyo, which is a brown, but it kind of has a little bit of purple in it. And I felt like it was a really, really good match to the pen. It's almost identical. So I really enjoyed this. I wanted to give more love to my Lamy pens because they kind of sit in my pen case and don't get used as much, so I'm trying to incorporate them a little more. And I feel like the Pilot inks work really well in the Lamys because I find that the Lamys, they do get like the ink dries out really fast, so if you put a wet ink in it, I feel like it lasts better. So I enjoyed this combination. I gave it 4 out of 5, so I'm hoping that I will continue to use more of my Lamys because they do get a little neglected when I have all the other pens in my collections to play with. So I'm trying my best to put them in the rotation a little bit more. All right, so now let's move into my little pocket pen here. So here is my Benu Pixie. This is the Icy Violet, and I have it in the fine nib. This was actually my first Benu pen. I have accumulated a few more since then. This is my only pocket pen. I have it inked up with Ferris Will Press Poison Envy, which is a shimmer ink, and I felt like the shimmer ink was okay in here. Sometimes I felt like I just got the color and not much of the shimmer, but it is a fine nib, so I guess that was kind of to be expected. I actually only gave this combination a 3 out of 5, and I think it's just because I don't really like the Pixie model. I find that even though it's posted, the cap kind of like wiggles a lot. I know they're trying to fix that, so I'm hoping like a newer model will come out and this doesn't happen, but I didn't like this. I also felt like when I was writing, my hand typically like sits here, my fingers, so you can see that it does touch the threading here. And I found that to be very annoying while I was writing. I felt like it was super uncomfortable. You can see that the cap is already like wiggling off, comes off way too easily, and I felt like the overall body was kind of slippery. If I take off the cap and just try to write like this, it's too small for me to write. So I did struggle with this pen. I don't know if I want to keep it. I do like it, but I feel like there are other like pocket pens I like better that are just a lot easier to use. So I'm not a huge fan of the Benu Pixie line. However, I love the talismans, so that's not to say I don't like this brand. The Benu brand is excellent. I love the nibs. I just don't really like the Pixies as much. So that is what I have to say about that one. All right, so now let's move on to my next pen and ink combination. This is the Esterbrook Estie Winter White. This is one of the latest pens that I got. And this is probably my favorite Estie that I own. I absolutely love this. I love the white. I think it looks so elegant and pretty. And you can pretty much, you know, ink it up with whatever ink you want because it's white, so it matches with anything. So for this month, I paired it with Sailor Shikiari Hana Konmuri. And this is actually with a medium nib. All of my other Esties have a fine nib, so I was expecting this nib to be a little juicier, but it wasn't. I felt like it was just okay. I do still like it. Sometimes I find the nib to be a touch scratchy, but I still really like it. The nice thing about Esterbrook is that you can obviously switch out the nibs however you want. You can just twist it and pull it out, so that's really nice. I gave this combination a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I think it's because of this ink. So I got this ink thinking that, you know, since I'm trying out warmer colors, this kind of peachy pink color would be nice to have in my collection. I like it. It's not my favorite though. I feel like it's a little dull, and I feel like it's too warm of a pink than I'm used to. So this color here is really outside of my comfort zone. So I feel like I don't have many stickers to match this. So that's also another thing. But I still really like the combination. It's not terrible, but it wasn't my favorite this month. Let me talk about the next pen because this pen and ink combination kind of surprised me. So I have another Kaweco. This is just the Sport though, and this is in the discontinued color pink. I have it here with a fine nib, and I have it inked up with Jacques Arbon Terre de Faux. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and I was actually really happy with this combination. First of all, the nib is amazing. I love my Kawecos because they write so well. Also, this ink is probably what I hoped the Sailor Shikiori Hana KonMari to be. The Terre de Faux is along the same lines. You can see that they're pretty similar. Terre de Faux is just a touch more darker. So I actually preferred this warm color as opposed to this one. This one just had a little bit more depth to it, and I felt like it matched more of my stickers that I was using for the month. So out of these two, I definitely prefer the Terre de Faux. Although it doesn't match the pen at all, I really enjoyed this combination, and I would actually ink it up again. So now let's move on to the very last pen here. I have a Narwhal Original Plus. This is in the Material Quartz. I have it with a medium nib, and inside I have Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio. So I gave this pen and ink combo a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did have some issues with skipping with this pen. This is a vac fill pen, and I felt like the nib was not performing super well. I may need to do some nib surgery and try to get it to work better because I felt like it was skipping a little bit. My main issue with this pen was that it stains very easily. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If I open it up here, you can see that this grip section is severely stained. This is my first time inking this pen. So this ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukio, and I've used this ink in a lot of pens. I use it in my Diamond 580s, and I keep it in there for a really long time, and it never stains. And you can see here that it stained the grip section. Now obviously this is kind of like a transparent glitter resin, but I was just really disappointed to see that the ink stained it. Now I have tried to get the stain out. I disassembled the whole entire thing. I took the nib out, I soaked it, I used soap on it, and I haven't been able to get this part, especially towards like the end here, to be like white again, like this color. So I'm really disappointed in that. I do have the black version, and obviously you don't notice any staining on that because it's a darker color. But with all of my other white pens, I've never had any staining issues with my pen, so I'm really disappointed. I'm thinking about like emailing Narwhal and seeing like if there's a way to remove this ink, because I'm just really disappointed. I feel like it looks terrible now. And like I said, this is literally my first time using it for this month, so I'm really disappointed. Let me know if something like this has ever happened to you in any of your pens, especially the Narwhals, and if so, like what do you use to get rid of staining on the resin that you may have? Because I don't really like this look at the moment. I feel like even if I put like a different ink, it'll stain it again. So yeah, I'm just really disappointed in it. So as you guys can see, I already cleaned it out, but I haven't quite inked it up with something else yet. So those are all of the pens and inks that I use for the month of November. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you guys are interested in more fountain pen and ink videos, please consider subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!